Hi there, folks. Welcome to Michael's Backyard Marina. I just did an intro, and then when I hit stop, it was 10 minutes long, and I ain't going to do that to you this time. Nope, can't do it. Back out here on the 86, follow along. We got a lot of projects to do on it yet. We got a lot of things that I've discovered that we need to still touch on, and we're going to move forward from there. Without further ado, let's get the torch out and do some work down here, and we'll just walk through every step until I get a lot of steps behind me, and maybe we get this thing on the water sooner than later. All right, folks, we're going to jump into a little time lapse here. I took a come along here and hooked it to the frame because the frame had a little flex back in it there, and that's just a piece of channel. The rest of the frame is tubing, but this is channel. So we heated it up to a dull red so we could get this thing to relax and move, and I could use the come along to pull it back in place. As you can see, it flexing pretty hardcore there. Just kept heating it, pull a little more, heat it, pull a little more, and we'll get it back in place. And then next thing you know, you relax it, and it comes back to a resting spot that's straight up and down like it's supposed to be. Perfect. We're going to move on to the trailer lights. There again, you saw me just grind the bolt off. As most of these old trailers and trailer lights will have, these bolts just rust, and they're not coated or anything, and they just rust, and you have to grind them off to get them off of there, and it comes in handy there because I already have the grinder. I can actually grind off a little bit of the mounting area and get a fresh ground there for the ground wire to go up against, just like that. So as you guys know, I like to crimp things. I also like to solder things. I kind of go back and forth between the two. This is a good way to do it here. I like to tie the wires together, put my heat shrink tube on. My heat shrink tube has the what do you want to call it? Some kind of a sealant inside it. So when you heat shrink it down, you can see the adhesive and sealant on the inside kind of come out the ends. Makes for a nice watertight seal. That's always a very good thing. And it makes them last a lot longer. Now what you see here is my guide bunks that I'd ordered over a year ago. And guide posts, whatever you want to call them. I bought them for the 1973 Cobalt, but it turned out that has a 6-inch trailer frame, and it didn't work for these U-bolts. And these U-bolts work perfectly on this frame, so why not? I like having the guidepost because it makes it easy to get the boat lined up, and you got a windy day or you're in a river and you got a little current. You just stick the nose in there and it locks the boat into the front, into the trailer. And then I like to make mine fit tight so they actually touch the side of the rub rail when it's going in there. They got a little bit of flex to them. And it also just an extra security point for the trailer when you're trailering down the road to keep the boat from bouncing off and getting away from you. Here we are on the second side, doing the same thing. A little grinding, a little smoothing out there, making my ground spot clean again. Soldering on my ground loop, soldering the wires back together. The other beautiful thing about this trailer is it has a tubing frame, and I was able to solder all this stuff back together, heat shrink it, and then shove all those wires back into the tubing for safekeeping. That way they won't get snagged on anything, and they'll be well protected, and it makes a nice, neat little job out of it. So I can't complain too much about that, not at all. So as you can see, these lights don't fit the opening perfectly, but that's okay. I'm not going to be able to find the lights that would fit this originally. As you can see, they both work. I was just testing it on a battery at this point. They work good. They're going to be nice and bright. Oh my goodness, here we are back inside the boat. Now we're going to discover some stuff in here. When I say stuff, I mean a lot of wood that was wood. We're going to use that terminology probably through the rest of this video and other series of this video, is there was a lot of wood underneath this carpet. Now these rivets are still pretty strong, and they held the carpet in place really well. And we'll discover some more reasons why this floor is still, you could walk on it, even though the wood was still fairly rotten. But yeah, you had to drill them out just like that, then you could peel it back and watch this. Look at that, it just crumbles in my hand. I literally vacuumed 95% of this floor out of the boat with my shop vac because it was just crumbly in pieces. You couldn't just pick it up and take it out. Well, with that being said, let's go back to live Michael instead of voiceover Michael and take you through the rest of this video. Alrighty, folks, let's catch you up to what you just witnessed here at the end, then we'll back up a little bit. But here's what's going on. I'm not using the microphone right now. I'm using just the GoPro mic, so I hope the audio is okay for this segment. It looks like, I don't know, this might have been, I don't know, 5/16 thick maybe. There's no good wood left that I can see so far to determine what thickness was here. But what I am discovering And I'll show you more as we get through here, but here's the wood underneath the carpet. It's literally just, there's nothing left. It's just crumbled into dust. All the way back here into the back seat area, here's where the back seat post was. This is all wet, but not, I'm kind of curious what condition the foam is. This thing has foam underneath the entire boat. This whole floor has been foamed in, which is good, provided it's not saturated and soaked up with water. I can feel dampness here around where the seat post holes were, but that might be it. I don't know. There is aluminum in sections here under the seat areas, as you can see here, that offer extra support, and possibly something for those sheet metal slash wood screws slash foam screws, whatever you want to call them, where it held that down. But yeah, you can see the foam that was poured underneath the boat after all this was put in. My gut tells me they might have put the foam in through the seat holes. I don't know the manufacturing process, but that would have been a good opportunity. A hole that's going to be covered up anyway, a place to put foam in all these areas for flotation. I wasn't going to go this far yet, but I didn't know how bad the foam was going to be soaked up or what condition the foam is, because the worst thing that could happen is you take a boat out that has soaked up foam, and then you get in a little bit of trouble, and then your boat actually does just sink instead of float like it should do with the buoyancy of the foam, you know, the way these are designed. Then it goes to the bottom of the lake instead of being able to at least float at the surface. Well, at least that's what I think that's the entire design or intent. But I did take the carpet out here. There's always a piece of wood here, and it was just carpet. It was all soft through here. I cut the carpet, and this has all got nice carpet underneath here, and this aluminum here. That's why this feels sturdy. I don't think I don't feel like there's any foam underneath here between here and the bottom. That allows the water to drain back to the back if it gets in the boat, I suppose. But the storage area, I just cut it out. And the wood condition that was here is the same that it was here. It's just all rotted and gone. Now I can actually see the pumps back there, and I'll be able to clean that out and examine those hoses, where they're going from and to, and make sure they're sealed up. Let's just say I'm digging in deeper than I planned. But the more I thought about it, the more I didn't want to take this boat out on the water until I knew I had some of these problems in my head as to what was going on. I can put a piece of plywood over here temporarily just to be able to sit on and drive the boat and fasten it down in a couple spots and be able to drive the boat around. So we're going to continue right now from this point forward. I'm going to gut all the carpeting out of here, vacuum it out, and see what I've got to work with. And then I can also lay some pieces of OSB or something in here for me to lay on while I work on some things. I got this area here that we had talked about where the tree limb had put the dent in the bottom of the boat that's going out. So I'm pretty sure it went through it crushed through the foam. And the boat is actually, because of the poured foam, it actually gives the hull a lot of sturdiness that wouldn't normally be there. But in order to fix that spot in the boat, I watched several videos. I know how I wanted to fix it, and I still know how I want to fix it, even after watching videos. Let's say it convinced me or told me to not do a certain thing a certain way. But yeah, we're gonna do some more. Let's get outside the boat here, and I'll show you some other stuff real quick. And keep in mind, when these boats were built, I very much doubt that a lot of this wood was, let's call it, treated or had a resin coating on. I mean, today what we think about doing is putting a resin coating down on all the plywood before we put it back in the boat to make it more watertight. So when you got this carpet, because you're going to go fishing, you're going to get caught in the rain. You're going to accidentally forget to cover your boat. You're going to park it outside. You're going on vacation for a week and they don't have it where you can park it under cover. It's going to get rained on. Well, when you got all this carpet, that carpet's just a sponge that's going to hold on to water. And guess what's right next to that sponge? Your wood. And what sits there and soaks up water after a period of time? The wood. And then it starts to rot. And then you get a condition like this. Now, keep in mind, this is an 86. We're talking a boat that's 28 years old. But a boat like this, staying covered, being covered, and not left out, this could have been avoided, because I've got boats that have been cared for in that manner, and they've held up much better. We're going to get in here and also take off these gunnels. We're going to remove screws. We're going to drill out rivets. We're going to get things down to where I can see what's going on in here. But other thing we got done here, I got my guideposts mounted. They're nice and solid. This is a good one. Then I got my tail lights put on, as you can see here. And you saw them flicker probably in the time lapse. They got this post here, or this piece here, is now straight up and down pretty much. But yeah, here's another angle of what we got going on here. So a lot more cleaning. This is one of those boats that I thought, hey, this would be a good one to, you know, gut the inside out. If I don't do anything else with it, gut it, get all the wood out of it and the foam out of it. But I think the foam might be okay, because the foam, the two-part pour-in foam can be expensive. But alrighty. Well, now it's just nothing but, I know what my task is for the next few hours is just getting carpet out of here. And it actually, looking at it, would I design the floor the same way? Because I have the option here of covering this over solid and putting me a couple of access doors in the floor here. Instead of one drop-in panel, I could have access doors to put tackle, bait, because I don't ski and I don't tube. So if I was going to make this for myself, if this is going to be a fishing boat, I've got an entire channel here full of really cool storage to put, you know, your life jackets, your fenders, all kinds of stuff can be stored in that channel. I mean, that channel, it's a lot of space there, no doubt. And be a perfect spot to store stuff and actually create doors with hinges. The framework's there. All the stuff you'd normally do like in a John boat to turn it into a bass boat, you'd create framework. It's all right here, ready for me to, you know, put some hinges on and stuff like that. So maybe, you know, maybe I'm convincing myself to bring this back around. I slowly keep, you know, talking myself into it. The nice thing about how this is laid out, I don't have to buy a 1/2-inch thick plywood here. It's all supported with the foam. I can lay this plywood right back on top of the foam. I could even put a little more foam down and push the plywood down onto it. And it might not, you know, there's options is what I'm saying. And let's call them less expensive options. And then we could cover the floor instead of carpet, like a sea deck or something of that nature, a foam covering that is insulation, that insulates, acts as flotation, and also does not absorb water, which it would help shed and repel water as well. Alrighty. There's a lot of cats gathering around outside my door. I wonder if they have some food. Maybe I should feed them. Alright, let's get back after it. Ain't nothing in the doing it but the doing it. going to give you a quick little slow down view of what's going on here. So as you saw, we got all the carpet ripped out, most of it. The cool part is all the wood still had a little bit of dampness to it. I don't know if that's cool or not, but the coolest part is there's the good and the bad, right? The good news is the foam is in great shape. The bad news is I vacuumed all the wood out of the boat. That's how rotted it was. It was just literally crumbled into little shop vac bite-sized pieces. But like I said, the good news is the foam is solid and dry. I cut into some of it here. It is dry as all get out. So the nice thing is this was probably some closed cell foam when they put it together, which is great. It didn't absorb any of the moisture that was sitting on it for years. I did cut out this corner right here. And right here, where I'm pointing at there, is where this little doohickey dent is right here, where the crack is right on that rivet. And I'm debating how I want to go about fixing this, because I can remove the rivet. I'm not sure yet, because I want to be able to work from this side of the crack to fix it. But this whole bracing across here is structural, and I want to be able to maintain the structure of it, but I also don't want to pull that whole bracket out and all the rivets that go along with it. So I'm going to think on that one a little bit as how I want to repair it. I could do a little welding from the outside and seal it up, and then put some JB Weld or something on the inside. Just as a, let's just say double-sided, because I'll be able to put some heat to this. On this side, I'm going to cut some more foam away, so I'll be able to put some heat to this and not worry about catching the foam on fire. Now, over here on the dent side, I'm going to have to pull that carpet all out and that little shelf, wood shelf out. I can leave all the aluminum, but I got to pull the carpet off the top, like this carpet here. I got to pull that off. I'm going to pull off anything plastic. The rubber strip around the other side like this has got to come off before I do my straightening exercise I want to try on it. Now, some of you might be saying, well, I thought you were going to put this Mercury on the 64 Evinrude. Well, this isn't looking too bad. I mean, I was worried about the foam being all nasty and screwed up, and then the more I look at this, once you've got a boat empty like this, and you got what I call a blank canvas for ideas. So, you know, I could put a rear casting deck on here that goes from here to the driver's seat, and I could have 2 seats here. And then I could have an elevated platform here, elevated platform on the front to fish from. And that might make it more appealing for somebody else. You could have it so that there's 2 actual seats to sit in, and when you make this deck come down and here, there's 2 more seats to sit here, and so you can have an elevated back seat here, and then a casting deck back seat here. So I don't know. There's options is what I'm trying to say. So as we keep progressing through this, I'll start determining what I want to do. Because do I sell this boat? Probably not. This is the only 90 horse 6-cylinder Mercury I've ever owned, and it's like once I get my hands on something, I don't want to let it go too easy. And I think this is going to be a lightweight boat. Everything I'm seeing here is very lightweight, and I could probably do some things to keep it lightweight. So this thing will just skip across the water with nothing but the prop in the water. That would be fun. And I might even take this front console here, take it completely out, and just have the one windshield. You know, you got that option. You see a lot of those bass boats, and what does that do to the floor plan there? Opens it up even more, right? And just gives you more walking around room. So there's options. And honestly, I want to pull this. I got to get rid of all this wood here. It's decaying, and it's, you know, seen some better days, but I want to pull it out because I'm going to be putting a lot of heat right in here to pull this back up. And I don't want to screw this wood up or have the option of catching it on fire or damaging the glass. So I think this all needs to come out, and then I can reinstall it after the fact. But yeah, we got a pretty good crease underneath here. And this here has got a little bit of a crease in it, but not bad. I mean, it's some, but not bad. There's enough to crack the decal. Alrighty, so that's where we're at. And sorry, extreme close up. That's obviously this is what I did notice is this was not a first time repair up front here. Somebody had replaced this chunk of wood right up in the front here, because that was fresh wood, and then it's back to old wood right up, like from right there across where I cut it off. From there to back to here was a fresh chunk of wood there, and it had a fresh piece of neighborhood watch sign that was underneath it to bridge the gap, and they had riveted that in there, which, as you saw the different plates I took out where the seat mounts were, that was, let's call it structural for the seat mounts. Way I install the seats I'm putting back in probably won't do that. I might put the pieces of metal back in, but it won't be for that reason. The other thing is, it looks like when they poured the foam or put the foam in on the outside, it looks more like a brain. And this here poured up smooth and flush. So I'm not sure what I want to do there. This might be a situation. I mean, the flotation of it's fine. But when it comes to supporting the wood, there's some flat spots on top and some flat spots, there's wrinkles. So it's not fully supported like it was here. And even this, because of the rotten wood and the wear and tear and walking on it as the wood was wearing down and losing its strength, is depressed down like this. It's got a little concave action going on there. Not bad, but it's one of those things. The foam comes out real easy. It's not stuck that hard to the floor, and it cuts and carbs real easy. So do I cut the foam out and then re-pour it, which that's more expense, because you want the flotation, and you saw the flotation that was in the gunnels and up underneath the gunnels. We want to replace that. But there's more options is what I'm saying. There again, I guess. Trying to put my thoughts together. But we're going to get back on this pretty quick and get some more progress on it, because the goal is still to put this on the water. Thanks for those of you that left comments talking about how the tachometer comes off the stator, alternator, something. I have to go back and read those comments one more time. I did get my manual for this outboard, which has wiring diagrams in it, which should clue me in on some more stuff. Somebody said if you have this and this, it won't work. I'm like, okay. That's why the ALT option on the tachometer is where there is for alternator, so it's like an alternator pickup. So there's some kind of timing up there. Picks up the RPMs. So that's starting to make a little sense to me. But we got 3 dry days coming up here in the evening right now, this evening and the next 2 evenings. So this is indoors. I can come in after dark and play with this. Outdoors, we got to dig some dirt. All right, folks, we dug some dirt. Now we're back out here working on the old Alumacraft. Well, next steps. Now, the plan was to get this on the water ASAP, but plans have changed a little bit. Believe you me, I want to get this on the water as much as you guys do. But I also want to do it in a safe manner. And some of the safe mannerisms, there's going to be, obviously we tore out the floor. I'll be able to examine and test and check out the bilge pump and the live well pump. There is also some other, underneath the dash here, there's some other piping and pumping and something underneath there I need to explore. But I also want to fix this dent. This dent has been laying in wait for over a year for me. And I got a whole bunch of, they said it couldn't be done. Challenge accepted. I might find out it can't be done, but I'm going to give it a shot. But to do that, we're going to remove this dash. So that's on the agenda right now, is we're going to get this window removed and this whole dash console removed and get this carpet out and the carpet off the top, and then we'll see where it takes me from there. Still thinking about this dented area down here, how I want to do that. As I said earlier, that's where the dent is, but look at the row of rivets going all the way across, and all those rivets are hooked to that piece right there. So that's a pretty main piece of structure that I don't want to disturb too much, but I also want to fix that leak that's down there. All right, without further ado, let's get to busy and let's get this, see what it's going to take to get this dash removed. There are rivets, there are screws, there are things that I don't know yet, but we're going to get after it now. Alrighty, we did it, folks. We got the console out. That really wasn't that bad. A few rivets, a few bolts, a few wood screws, and this thing is all bolted, riveted, and wood screwed. Just find them all, and it comes apart. It helps when some of them are rotted, but they're all achievable. As you can see, we've got the entire console out. Here's the dent here still. There's two pieces I removed, as you saw. There's this rail here, and then this piece inside here that was also dented. But now when you look at it with those pieces out, the dent doesn't look too bad. It's still pretty bad. But that shelf there has a couple of rivets from the outside of the boat. They're out here. So I'm going to have to grind those off to get that piece of metal out. We're going to get that carpet out. Same with the rod holders there. The rod holders are coming through to some rivets outside the boat. We're going to grind those off too and get those out so I can get that whole piece of carpet out of there. And then I can apply my heat and my technique of pulling this thing back up straight again. And then these other pieces that are here bent, like that one there, you see how it's supposed to be? And then you can see some of the collapsedness of it all. I think I can bring some of this back around individually. As you guys know, I ain't scared. It's already wrecked. I can't really ruin it. And that's the attitude I got here, is that it can't be wrecked anymore. It's already been pretty wrecked. So we're gonna fix it. But just looking at it from the back side of the boat here, there's so much more room with that console gone. There's so many opportunities to bring it back a different way. You know, a person could put from that bench seat there where their live wells at, and bring it straight back and make that bench all the way back. And you can even make that bench come jut out a little bit, still have a gunnel and a bench, and put a combing pad all the way down the full length of this thing. There's options. That's the awesome part. So, you know, you can pick a boat up like this reasonably priced. The biggest thing is the heartbeat. The boat, like I've said before, on everything I try to buy or pick up, it has to have at least one redeeming quality, which in this case, this particular one, the biggest interest was the 90 horse Mercury. Something else I discovered. Looking at the title to the boat, title shows a 1986 Alumacraft, 17.3 inches or whatever it is, I think, something like that. But it had a 115 Merc on it. That was on the title when it was purchased But this obviously has a 90. And there's no reason to disguise a 115 as a 90. It just wouldn't make any sense. And the other indicator I noticed is, check this out. There's a little witness mark here. Right here. And nobody would have taken this motor off and adjusted it, let's just call it 5/8 of an inch. I have a feeling it was repowered at some point in history with something of the same era. This was an 86 motor. This is an 86 boat. This is still an 8690. So did the 115 get bricked in some time in history? And then somebody said, well, let's just put a 90 on it. I got a 90 over here. We'll just throw that on. It'll still scoot along just fine. Don't know the whole history. I'd be interested to find that out if that did ever happen. There again, 90's plenty of outboard for this boat. But it possibly, according to the title and the registration, it had a 115. So now the other option is here to make this thing, let's just say, bring it to a more modern. A guy could take that windshield off and put him a more, aerodynamic windshield on it. And then redo those two pieces of wood and make them look really nice. And it would look fresh. But we don't need to do that yet. Right now, next steps are, got to get that out, the corner piece out. I want to get that removed because it's got rotted wood underneath there. Same way with this corner piece. We're going to get all the seat tops removed because that's all rot. I'm going to get all the wood underneath those seats possibly. If I can, get that out because I guarantee it's just as rotted as the rest of it. You can see the carpet's gone. The carpet's the only thing holding this thing together with some foam underneath it would be my guess. The other cool thing you could do with this particular one is you can make a casting deck go straight across. Still put your lid in for your live well in your casting deck. Still put your storage in lids in for your casting deck, but then have a whole flat surface up there. And then you got all this storage underneath. You could have a door back here, for instance, and have plenty of storage underneath there for life jackets and anchors and first aid kits and other things of that sort to keep it out of your open floor area here. And then you eventually go with a remote control trolling motor and get rid of the foot pedal altogether, and it just frees up all that space to fish from. And here, like I said before, I think this would be pretty cool to take it from right here and build it out to here. Maybe even come up a little further and make that, just block it off and make that whole tunnel underneath here storage space, and have you a seat here. There again, this bench seat could come back to it and meet it, so your passenger could sit here. You could have it lean against this. There's just things you can do. And I think you could do it for lightweight and on the cheap. A few pieces of aluminum structure, not wood structure, but aluminum structure to create it. And then you can put wooden carpet over it, but use the aluminum structure to give you your strength. And then put the wood over it, and then have a nice casting deck, keeping the weight to a minimum so this boat doesn't, granted, this motor could push this thing along with 7 people in it. 7 people, average sized people, is a lot of weight. I mean, think of the average person. If the average person was 150, we know that ain't true. But there again, you're talking a lot of weight there. And you could sacrifice, because myself, I've never taken 7 people out in a boat in my life. I've only been into my most 5. And 5? Yeah, 5. And there again, I primarily go out to fish and not recreational ski. And recreation and pull tubes and stuff. I got a 1973 Cobalt that is designed strictly for recreational stuff, and I'll use that one. And it has the 160 horse inline, 165 horse inline 6. So, all right, well, just thought you'd like to see the progress. We're making headway. Right now, we're really close to being able to put this on the water as is. I could easily screw down a piece of wood here and be able to have a place to sit and drive and control the boat, and I could do the same thing, a piece of wood all the way across, and my son or whoever's going to co-pilot with me, whoever wants to go out for what I call the shakedown breakdown, because that's happened a few times where you go out there, but that's what the trolling motor is all about. I might be broke down, and I always on the shakedown breakdown take a couple fishing poles, because on the way back just troll. And that way you don't feel like you're wasting any time being broke down, you're fishing. A breakdown turns into a fishing trip? That's not bad, is it? Now that's a positive. Alrighty. Well, folks, this is Michael saying we'll see you on the next video with this and other things. But this is Michael saying if it ain't broke, fix it till it is. And then when it breaks some more, keep fixing until you got something you're proud of. Or that you at the very least, you can go fishing in. Now, this Alumacraft, I call this Alumacraft the Big Dent because of the dent in it right here, right? Everybody knows why this got called the Big Dent. But maybe it should have a different name than the Big Dent. Maybe we want to let go of the past of when I received it. But the way I'm putting it back together, we're trying to be economical as possible here. And I'm trying to figure out the best ways to spend the least amount of money on this. And there's no sponsors on this boat at this point in time. SeaDeck, if you're out there listening, there'll be an opportunity for floor covering. Minn Kota, if you're listening, there might be an opportunity for a trolling motor. LiPo batteries, if you're listening, I'm just saying there's opportunity there for sponsorship, folks, to help me bring this along and save a few dollars. But I think for the most part, we got a good thing going here. And but I was thinking of the Rat Rod fishing boat. And the Rat Rod, in this case, would be fishing rods, not hot rods. Ha! Didn't think about that, did you? So maybe I call this the Rat Rod fishing boat. Or the Rat Rod boat. Let me know your thoughts. The verdict is in this outboard, and I think that'll please quite a few of you out there. This outboard is staying with this boat, and this boat is going to go in the water and live its life as a rat rod boat. But we're going to make it look pretty good for a rat rod. Now, when I say look pretty good, we're going to do some finishes on the inside. But whatever happens here, paint burns off, things happen. We're going to call that inflicted patina. And it's going to stay there. And that's where it's going to start looking more like a rat rod boat. All right. There again. This is Michael saying if it ain't broke, fix it. It is. See you on the next video. I'm out. Be good to one another. And treat each other kind, please. My brain's going a million miles an hour on this now. It's just incredible.